what I'm saying is like, you understand what it gives to you. You understand how it enhances life. Like, that isn't so often like taught. You know, that's even something I learned as an adult. I grew up with like a very antisocial family that like just wanted to look out for themselves and were very like paranoid of our neighbors and like just not very like, there was no community. It was just like us and the people around us. But like now as an adult, I get why that's important. But like, I think a large, maybe, yeah, like a large minority of people don't understand the importance of sitting face to face like this. Like,
thank you all for tuning in to watch this conversation with Bobby Martin. To support the channel, make sure you hit the subscribe button, share this video with your friends, and don't forget to stop by our merchandise store where you can pick up hoodies, t-shirts, coffee mugs, and stickers. Bobby Martin is a Muay Thai martial artist. He is a fighter, and he is a member of the U.S. military. My friends, too often we let labels like black, white, rich, poor, Democrat, Republican, male, female, too often we let these labels become the defining characteristics of how we perceive other people, so much that we forget that the person on the other side from us is a human being having a very human experience. I believe that the solution to much of the world's problems that we perceive in this day and age is a sit-down, one-on-one conversation that allows for empathy, growth, and understanding, and not to try to force someone else's ideologies onto somebody else. This conversation with Bobby, he allowed me to capture a very pivotal moment in his life in which he is transitioning from a full-time fighter to now a member of the U.S. Armed Forces. And this is a decision that did not come easily and should not be taken lightly. And I want to thank Bobby for allowing me to capture this moment in his life and for sharing it with you and the rest of the world. My friends, thank you for tuning in and watching this. Now this is a conversation with Bobby Martin.
Welcome back, brother.
thanks, dude.
I'll be honest, I honestly feel a little bit bad because I didn't mean to do this, but somehow you just always somehow magically turn into the one that I do experimental podcast on.
Really?
Like last time we did the thing where we were just walking around like downtown Tampa, like that was an experiment, and this time like back then I didn't have a place to actually film, but now that I actually do, because we're crunched on time, we couldn't get there, so now we're filming in the gym. So like, man, like you're like my like accidental test bunny.
I can consider it a testament to your ability to adapt to time constraints.
Fucking love you, bro. Damn. All right. So I wanted to bring you back on because I felt like the last one we did, because it was so experimental and it was so really chaotic. Like we didn't get a full conversation. I feel like you have so much more to share because you're a deep thinker. You're an amazing individual, and you're also at this very pivotal time in your life that I wanted to kind of capture. Because you're about to go off to the army. You're about to just do amazing things, and you're taking a break from Muay Thai fighting, and I know none of that comes with a little bit of thought, and I kind of want to capture that. But before we do any of that, I got a gift for you.
Ah, dude, yeah.
You can punch your friends.
Do you remember my size?
Yeah.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Official merch. Thank you. Thank you, Rex.
No, thank you, brother.
I think I've got like a whole outfit from you now.
Gotcha. All right, so yeah, I just want to like just capture like where your mind's at right now, because again, like you're in a pivotal time of your life, huge amount of change going on. I can only imagine the amount of turbulence going on up here, around here. So
yeah, no, it's a lot, man. It's very bittersweet. It's very bittersweet because I'm very excited about shipping off to boot camp soon. So that is equally exciting and to look forward to as it is terrifying. Just because you always believe that in putting yourself in uncomfortable positions or in uncharted territory, that that's like you're forcing yourself to grow and adapt to the parameters of that new setting. But once you're actually doing it, it's just scary at the moment. You know what I mean? It's just when I had my leave date about like 2 weeks ago, it was just like, I'm so pumped, I'm gonna get after it, I can't wait. I have my brothers in my unit, I'm gonna train every day, I'm gonna eat good, I'm gonna wake up early and go to sleep early. And now it's just like, oh my god, I feel like I'm losing grip on the last of my freedom. Like, I can just get up and go to the bathroom when I want to, I can wear whatever I want, I can pretty much talk how I'd like to and address people as equals. And like, part of my decision to go into the military is I knew that wasn't going to be the case. It's like it would force me to adapt, right? Learn a new lifestyle, learn a new way of thinking, but it's very humbling to have to, you have to address your superiors with the right respect. You have to address them with the right title. There's limits on ways that you're usually allowed to act whenever you feel like, pretty much all the time. And when you're in the Army, you are now part of a unit and a team. There's no more individual. And some people see that as something that's like draining you of your personality, or something that's like sucking out your individuality. But for me, I think for the short period of time it will be in the long scape of my life, being able to conform to that is almost like a kind of strength, and you're kind of humbling yourself to be able to do that. There's guys that do go into the Army that I've heard, they get themselves in trouble all the time. They get their platoon in trouble because they just don't know how to stop mouthing off. They don't know how to adjust to what their role is now. And that's like, you are a soldier. You are a member of like the world's most powerful organization. You have to act in a way that is like representative of the grander scheme other than yourself. And most of the things that I pursued in my life, I felt are always like very individualistic. Like, the fights please me because I get all this attention and validation, and the training is fun for me. And it's not that I don't play into a team dynamic with the gym, because you know how I feel about that, dude. Like, we're all family here, and we all thrive off each other's success. But I won't be with family just yet. Like, it's a whole bunch of strangers going into one place with just a common goal. And so, it's me very uncomfortable for that reason, is that for years I've only been around my friends and loved ones here. And now it's my first time kind of being out and alone in the world, but with other people doing the same thing.
Yeah. So. And what happens if, so I don't think you'll have a problem adjusting to, or I don't think you'll have a problem being one of the better people who adjust and fill their role. But like, what happens if like someone else on your platoon is the one person who has trouble fitting in? You're gonna have to deal with situations like that.
I'll have to help them out. Yeah, I mean, try to, right? If there's an openness to learning and like suggestion that you need, right? And I need it here. Sometimes Dato will yell at me, or the other day, maybe do 25 burpees because I was like making funny gestures to Joey during lessons. And
I can say that, yeah.
You saw? Were you there? You saw?
No. I could see that happening.
It was embarrassing, dude. And then in that thought, I go, all right, why am I embarrassed? Why am I mad? I'm getting, for lack of a better word, pissy about this. Why am I getting pissy? Well, did Dr. Wanna embarrass me? No, I did something where I fucked up, and now the consequence of that is I have to do these burpees so that he knows that I'll listen to him and I'll follow his instruction, even if he's reprimanding me in a way that I don't necessarily agree with. It's coming from a good place in the grand scheme. He's trying to teach me discipline. He's trying to teach me to respect him when he's talking, because he has authority. And in messing around in class, I forgot to recognize that.
He's got to flex on you sometimes.
He's got to flex,
yeah.
Dude.
Yeah.
That's the only man. You can tell me to drop down and give me 20 and like for no reason, and I do them. Just like, it's like my first commander,
So I think a lot of what you go through in here in this building is gonna prep you well for that world.
I hope so. It's gonna be wildly different. You know, there won't be. I don't think there will be the same kind of like positive encouragement that I get here. It might be a little rougher in the military because it's not just me. It's like 40 other guys in a unit, and so, you know, they gotta make sure we're all doing what we have to do so that we're all progressing at the same rate. Whereas our gym is small, and there might be like 5 guys to 10 guys in a camp at a time, and there's just it's easier. You know, that care is a lot easier when like you're around the same group all the time.
And you know, and there is the aspect of danger in this, but it's not the same thing as, you know, someone shooting rifle rounds at you where you can actually die in any given second.
I mean, that's I still don't know how to get my head around that. I mean, I have the idea that like it's a cold comfort. My MOS, like my military occupational specialty, that's going to be for satellite comms. So it's called 25 Sierra is a designation. Those guys do rarely get attached to combat units. Usually have to volunteer for like airborne or for something, you know, there's really no spots for comms guys and rangers, usually just like infantry. So airborne is the way you want to go if you have a specialization and you want to get attached to a combat unit. But like that's very unlikely, you know. The international climate right now doesn't seem like it's too good, but I don't want to be so drastic to say we're going to war soon, you know.
Well, we have no idea what's going on in the world these days. This has been the craziest 2-3 years in history, in my history.
Something I had to explain to my girlfriend last night actually was that, all right, like I have this expectation that I'm just going to be going to school to learn my specialty and then to fulfill my job, mostly at home or on like, you know, like peaceful deployments. But if the shit hits the fan, so to speak, that is still my job. It's not my choice at that point. I told her, look, this should be relatively safe for me, but there's a caveat, right? That like, if I'm needed, I'm needed, and I swore an oath on that. It's something I kind of drilled into her that I don't think she understood. I told her, look, I swore an oath.
To defend the country.
I did, and I believed in that. You know, I give meaning to everything that I do, and I believe in that oath that I swore, and I expressed that to her. She, you know, she has fears about like my safety and stuff, and
it's natural.
You know, I get that. I totally do, and it's just love and caring, and it makes me feel loved and supported, really. But like, she's also a little upset. Like, why would you want to do that? Why is that something you'd be willing to do?
Yeah.
So, it's like I said, it's very bittersweet. There's parts that I'm excited for in this new step in my journey, but then there's also the parts that I just know are gonna suck in a good way.
So, what came first, the decision to not take another fight, or the decision to join the army? How did those correlate? So
initially, I started formulating the idea I wanted to join the army like around June, I want to say, like beginning of the summer. And the idea at first was like 3 more fights. I'm gonna do 3 more fights, and that'll get it like out my system long enough that okay, I could just go in and serve and hopefully get like a short contract, come out and get right back to it. You know, and so that's what I was gonna do. I was just gonna take 3 more fights, and I wasn't telling anybody. I didn't tell Data, hey, you got 3 more. You know, I just wanted to do 3 more in my mind, and kind of like that should sate me for a bit. That should hold me off long enough to do this and do my service, and you know, I can get right back to it once I'm discharged. And just the more I would read about, you know, different veterans' stories, the things they learned, different friendships that I've heard were made.
Jocko Willink.
I like Jocko.
Yeah.
I like Jocko. I'm not gonna give. I mean, I've heard some things about him from other soldiers and stuff, and like David Goggins too. He gets a good bit of shit from Navy guys. I don't know about them. No, I like Jocko. I like something he does where he wakes up at 4 every day. He wakes up at 4:30 every day. And I think that's respectable because, like, there's things you do that suck, but you know you feel tremendously better for, like, later in the day. You know what I mean? Like, there's nothing like waking up, skipping breakfast, working out, and then coming home, and then rewarding yourself with food. And then you just feel like a lot more in control of your energy and where you apply it. Like, to be specific, if I wake up on a day where I get up at like 10, I'd sit in bed for like 20 minutes on my phone and then kind of laze around the house. Everything that I do in the day after that will be so much harder to will myself to do. You know what I mean? And the day is gonna drag ass. But if I wake up early, like when it's still dark, I go for a run. Well, it's like, I don't wanna stop here, I wanna go make breakfast. Like, all right, oh wait, I need to go like make my bed and let me like put on my clothes and what do I need to clean before I leave the house today? Maybe I should write down some stuff I need to do. You know, it's so much easier once you start the day with something tasking.
Yeah,
for sure.
8 a.m. Everyone else is waking up. You've already accomplished like so much.
Dude, half my day. Yeah, half my prep for the day. Sometimes I'll wake up super early and I'll make like Emmy's breakfast or like her lunch, and it's just like, it just feels rewarding after a little bit. The hardest part is just getting your feet out of the bed.
So you thought about the 3 fights. So you said in June, right? So Lelio Code was already happened. So you had one more, which was the one in New York.
I fought Lelio Code, and then I did a fight in Daytona. Remember?
Oh yeah, that's right.
And I fought. That was my scariest opponent, dude. His name was Keno McKenzie. Big, ripped up black dude from. I think he was from like Jacksonville or something. So scared of him. I was like,
Jacksonville gets it popping.
Dude, they get it popping, yo. Duval. I went to Long Island to fight my last opponent. That was my first time without shins too. So I was pretty hyped about that. So that was a funny preparation because the whole camp went fine. I felt tremendous. I felt great. Cardio was great. Everything was fine. And then I'm supposed to go up with 2 teammates, right? I'm supposed to go up with Joey and Ronnie. And, you know,
Things
Joey
happened.
couldn't come, and then Ronnie couldn't come. So now it's just me going alone. And, like, I mean, my lady, she'd offered, she's like, hey, like, I can go up there with you and accompany you. And I've already got it in my head, I'm going to go to the Army. And I'm, like, I like to like prepare myself for things I'm expecting are gonna be hard. So I thought like, I want to go by myself, and I would be in the hotel by myself for like a couple days. But I was thinking in that moment, like, she is my comfort. She makes everything so much easier to do, and a lot of what I'm gonna have to do soon isn't gonna be easy at all. So I told her, I was like, look, I don't know how you feel about this, but I kind of want to go by myself and see what it's like to do something strange and discomforting alone, you know? And so, like, she's like, yeah, I do get that. She was really understanding about that. She was like, yeah, that's fine, do it. So, yeah, I got on the, she dropped me off at the airport, got on the plane, went back and forth with the promoter to find a way to Long Island because I had my flight over in Queens, so I was just like chilling in the airport. Like, have you ever seen
LaGuardia or JFK?
JFK.
Okay.
You ever seen is it The Departure or something? It's Tom Hanks sleeping in a airport for like a month.
Is that what you did?
That's how I felt, because I was just like vibing and going to different like little Wi-Fi hotspots and just waiting for the promoter to hit me up, because he was supposed to first he was going to give me a ride, and then he was going to send a cab, and then it was just so hard to get from there to the actual, like, where the venue was. Yeah. So then on that trip I was alone for a little bit, and I was expecting to be alone up until fight day when Joel Nansen would get in. So I ended up just kind of chilling there and being alone, watching movies, reading books, meditating. I would go for like little shadow boxing bouts outside,
just in every hour. Airport.
Yeah, because you're so nervy. There's nothing like the nerves you get before a fight. Like, you want to just keep moving, and whenever you sit down, it's like torture.
That's actually pretty gangster. Just walking through an airport, just seeing a guy just shadow boxing. I'd be like, that's a tough man. I'm not gonna mess with him.
But I was super stoked about that fight. It was the first fight I got ready for where I was like, okay, I want to hurt my opponent. Like I want to cause him pain. This is like, I realize that this is like a mindset I need to utilize to understand what it is I'm really doing. Yes, Muay Thai is beautiful. It's art. It's creative, and it's like, you know, it's this kind of alternative combat sport that's laced with so much tradition and respect. I just wanted to hurt this dude, you know. It's something like training with Chase changed that a lot. Chase Brooks, he's mean. He's mean.
He'd be good at that. He's
the nicest guy in the world. Don't get it twisted. He's really nice, but on fight day, he's malicious. He's cruel. You know, you need that to hurt people if hurting people is your sport. You know what I mean? So I was just like reading a ton of books and reading like war stories and like memoirs, and I got into this mentality almost that I was like, all right, like I'm a soldier going to war. I'm a soldier going. What am I gonna? I need to do something hard right now. I need to go for a march. And I went down the highway in Long Island and walked like an hour just until I was tired in my legs because I was cutting weight and stuff.
You walked an hour.
Just an hour down
the highway.
Like it's like a Florida street. Like imagine like a Hillsborough Avenue. Just an hour down from the hotel as far as I could get before I was tired. And I was like, all right, I'm gonna come back.
You became a hobo.
I was a hobo essentially. Yeah, I was staying in a hotel room that the promoter provided. It's an extended stay, so you know I never was shy of an excuse to get out of there. It's quite hood, so to speak, especially in Long Island. But that fight went the best for me out of any one I've had so far. I think like I was in a place I wasn't used to being with people I didn't know, and I was fighting a hometown fighter in a cage with no shins and kickboxing, which I haven't done since like my third fight. It was very like I had a chip on my shoulder, to say the least. Like I definitely I will not lose here. I did not come all this way and do all this mental prepping, do all this dieting, do all this working out and running and getting sores on my feet. I didn't do that so that I could lose to someone that by this point I had made in my head to be less deserving of it than me.
Yeah, and it showed. Like that third round, I saw you do things to that man that I've never seen you do to any other man.
Yeah.
I've watched a few of your fights, and you know, like you're normally very technical, very like tactical about your movements, and very careful, calculated. In that fight, like it was actually like watching a different human being who was just like some other spirit was just using your meat bag.
Yeah.
You know, but just like the way you clocked him was, I mean, it was beautiful. Like there's that one punch where you just sent him back 4 feet, and his whole everything just dropped.
His energy was gone after that.
Yeah.
It wasn't even that I was surprised in the second round that like I thought my volume was like I was just trying to go, and every time I got teeped back or I got pushed back, right back at it, right? And I'm trying to grab him and clinch and land knees, and
I can't do that.
I can land one. They would let me land one. So whenever I did the double lock, the ref would count, and I could hear him counting.
Yeah.
And they count to 5 seconds for you to do something there. But after you land your first strike, you gotta let go.
Yeah.
So I would just grab, knee, push off. And I was surprised by the second round. I'm like, dude, I'm kind of tired. And I go back to the stool. Oh, this is interesting too. I go back to the stool. Actually, I had a tremendous revelation in this fight. Like, I get back, and Anston and Jill jump into the cage, and they're talking to me, and I don't hear anything they're saying. I'm not listening at all. I'm just kind of in my head, and I'm going like, they sound a little fucked up, but I'm like, another fight here, no money in the bank. Another fight here, I'm going home to live with my mom. Another fight here, might have to ask my girlfriend for money this week to pay a bill. What the fuck am I doing here? You know, why am I doing this right now? And it was so weird because I'm like, all right, it's almost like I heard another voice in my head, like, is this the time for this? Like, you're about to go to the third round, dude. Like, clean it up, you know? And Jill noticed how distracted I was. She's like, hey, Bob, you here? I'm like, oh shit, yeah, I guess this is where I'm at. I'm in a cage in Long Island fighting. Holy shit. So I went on that third round. I was like, all right. It was playing with my head that I had those thoughts in between. I was like, all right, like I need to show whatever the fuck that was, and I'm like, I'm here to win. So I just wanted to go at him and just, I didn't care what, but if I took shots to the ribs, to the legs, my shins, that's fine. I was just trying to protect my face. If my nose gets busted, I can't breathe. If my eyes get closed, I can't see. So nice tight guard, just walking forward. I landed that punch. It was he's southpaw, and it was really hard to get any range on him because he was about like 5'10". He was like Joey's height, but skinny and lanky. So I touched the body once. I realized that he kind of buckled for it. And right off the rip, I'm like, all right, fake high, low high. I go low, and he bites on it again, and I step up, and I threw the cross kind of reaching upwards. Like it didn't stand back up and throw it straight. I threw it up at his face, and it kind of, it turned his head that way up at the ceiling. So I was like, oh shit, like I need to get on it. And I threw the head kicks, started walking him back. I was stomping his thighs. I would stomp the thighs with the teep, trying to do something to his knee. And it was I felt really good in that third round. In that third round, I was going, damn, I wish this was 5 now. Like, I was feeling great. But yeah, I knew I won that fight after it ended. I wasn't surprised at all. I just, like, when I came out, I actually heard someone like boo me as I walk out, and here I am, like, I finally got to pick a song for my walkout. I finally got, like, there's big lights and like a big canvas, and there's a cameraman in front of me, and I have this like metal walkway. I was like living it up, dude. I thought it was the coolest thing ever. And then as I'm walking out, I'm feeling myself, and someone goes, boo! Ooh! And I'm hearing it, and it's getting like louder as I hear it. It's like
that one singular voice out of the crowd.
Dude, yeah, it was like a hockey rink though. The venue was in a big sports complex, and then the actual like seating and the ring was inside a hockey rink. So it was really easy to hear everything in there. Like Gabo fought earlier that day. I don't know if you remember, like that first day I flew in, I got like a call from him that he's like, hey, Dato gave me the fight, I'm gonna come after work tonight. And he just flew straight there. He got in at like 12 a.m.
That's also pretty gangster.
That is gangster. Can you imagine? Like, and Gavo's a teacher, dude. Like, I'm sure he's exhausted after every day's work, just having to be responsible for children 8 hours a day. And then he just gets on a plane and flies straight up.
Makes weight
fine. Yeah, it was cool, man. We actually got to hang out
and wins.
And win.
Yeah,
that was really gangster. But yeah, so after that fight, like I won, we went to the back. We were just kind of chilling, and like that feeling I usually wait for that hits with a win, like never really came. It wasn't as, I don't know, it was almost like a disappointing fart you think's gonna be really loud. It's like
silent and wet and deadly.
Dude, it was weird. I was like, why am I not stoked? I just trained 6 weeks for this. Like, what does this mean to me? Like, do I not love to fight anymore? Like, what? I don't know what's going on with my head. And I don't know. It's just like, it was cool to, I knew you guys were all watching at Magnanimous. And like, I saw Emmy on the phone and all you guys in the video chat and stuff. And like, that was really nice. That was more fun than hearing my name called. And
do you like fighting more, or do you like Muay Thai and martial arts more?
I like Muay Thai and martial arts more. Fighting felt like if I trained Muay Thai so much and I bought the gear and I came to the practices and I wanted to spar, it only felt like fighting was natural. Like, I would have felt like an imposter should I have never fought, to be honest. Like, I would have felt like I didn't understand. I was young, and this was like my first athletic outlet. So,
do you still feel that way now?
Nah, I think I've learned a lot about like those ideas were very like vain, or just from a young mind. You know what I mean? Like now I know, like if my head's not in a fight, my coaches don't want me fighting it. You know what I mean? Like they care about my safety. They care about my health.
100%.
My coaches will never put me into a scenario where they think I'm in any kind of danger. You know, Anson even talked to me like after the fight. He's like, look, I want you to know, like, whenever you fight, I am not nervous. When my friends fight, when I corner other people, like, I'm worried about them. I'm never worried about you. I am just worried that you don't think you got it.
He saw that. He sensed it.
I think that's why he said it. Huh. So, yeah, man, at this point in my life, I mean, I still get excited when the guys had fights, and when I was warming the dudes up, I was like, yeah, like, we gotta fight. Like, I want to get back in there. And then I realized, like, I was just getting excited with them because, like, it's super thrilling to do. Like, once you get past all the nerves and the cutting weight, and it's exhilarating.
To just lay it out all on the line.
But it has to be something you like doing. You have to actually like doing it, and it takes a few fights to figure that out. And it's like, I liked fighting when I was winning, and when you're losing, it makes you want to fight more because you got to win again before you can, like. So like, you remember I got those 2 losses. I wanted to win like a few more times if I was ever gonna even consider fighting. It might have to be something I put a break on, or because I've always played with the idea I'd have to stop to give more time to maybe go back to school, or start like a job, like a full-time career, But yeah, dude, I love being a martial artist. I love being around the gym. It's given me an opportunity to be a leader. It's teaching me like leadership qualities and skills. Like, I see myself trying my best to like, kind of hold myself better in the gym. Like, be aware of the room. Don't curse a lot when the kids are around, and if I have to reprimand them, do it because I want them to understand, a better way, as opposed to being upset with them and just letting them feel that, right? Because they're not going to learn anything from that. I don't know any other place where I could have got essentially like leadership training other than the gym, and then realized that there is a place for that. And
The military.
It's important to me, man. It's important to me. Like, I've always looked for mentors as a young man, and like, it's only in the last few years that I've actually found some, and it's like, well, what makes me look up to them like that? Like, what makes me come to these people for advice and guidance like that? And, like, to name a few, like Kai, John Ordo, Anson, like, these are guys that I look up to, that I know have seen more of life than I have, and so have something to offer me when it comes to like my confusion in my place in the world. So, but then it started to shift, and I started thinking like, well, I want to be able to do that too. It makes me think I can't do that. I thought I wouldn't be able to win a fight, and then I won like 5 back to back.
Yeah, look at that.
So yeah, man. With that, with that thought in mind that like maybe I should stop fighting for a bit, I thought it'd be the perfect time to actually get ready to go into the military sooner. I'm like, well, if I'm not going to have my 3 fights, then I should start the process soon. I feel like the longer you hesitate on an idea, and it just kind of sits and like gathers dust, and then you always feel like at some point you're going to be ready to pick that thing up, and it's like it looks less appealing to you. So as soon as I figured out, like, okay, I think I can do this, I think I'm confident enough, I think I'm hardworking enough, because my biggest fear with the Army was that I wasn't going to be like determined enough. I was afraid that
You're a very determined guy.
Yeah, I hear that, but like to feel it takes forever. You have to like do stuff that you look at. I mean, I definitely have a hard time validating my own efforts.
I mean, I just look at you, and you're younger than me, but I look up to you. You've several years in Muay Thai, several years boxing. And before that, you got your face broken in boxing sparring, and you came back. Yeah. You didn't just come back. Like once the gym closed down, you sought out another gym, joined that one, became one of its top fighters, several fights back to back, elbows, knees, victories. Your last fight, you clocked the other guy into like another dimension in another state in his hometown. That is a story that less than 1% of the world can tell.
Yeah.
I look up to you a lot, and I'm not trying to be cheesy, but like just like Anton, like I don't worry about you because I know you'll be fine.
Yeah. Thank you.
Yeah. So I want to go back to like the fight because there's something you said to me, like the week after when you came back, where you said like I just didn't respect the guy, and that you tapped into a place that you didn't normally tap into, and you kind of alluded that earlier. So I want to dive into that more because I know just from like talking with other fighters, watching fighters or whatever, like just like I've studied this game from a textbook intellectual standpoint, you know, not from a practical one, but like, and so I know that like in order to like excel as a fighter, you have to tap into some really dark places in your mind to act like the actual desire to want to impose your will and hurt somebody really badly to the point where you even like put their lights out.
Yeah.
That is not normal, and that requires you to tap into a dark place that society doesn't train us for.
Yeah. You want my thoughts on that?
I want your thoughts on that because because it sound I don't know if this is true or not, but you kind of made it sound like that was the first time you actually really tapped into that. I don't know if that's true or not.
Yeah. No, that's totally true.
So like your first few fights where you didn't tap into that versus this one.
Yeah. So I never felt like that. Like there is definitely a reluctance to you know, in Muay Thai specifically, we talk so much about being respectful of your opponent and holding yourself with grace and
The Y crew.
I grew, and like the thing is just that like it is hard to do that to someone that you respect. That is the line for me in the way I treat my sparring partners, and like I think the reason I haven't been able to like unload on people like that is because I've always kind of like, what's the word? I kind of related to them in a way where kind of like I felt like we shared something, like, you know what I mean?
A level of sport.
A level of sport, like almost like a level of camaraderie in the sense that we both do the same sport, right? And so what that did was like, it made me feel like all my other opponents were my equals. And in thinking they were my equals, I saw them as equally capable of what I knew I was. And so that created a reluctancy in me to like engage, to like, you know, throw longer combos at the risk I might take one, but you know what I mean? So in this fight that I just had, I started thinking like a dickhead, so to speak. I just started like, I would think things like, you know, it's disrespectful for this guy to like, you know, to like, I would make fake scenarios for him that I don't even know if he was really thinking. Like, I'm like, I bet this guy thinks I'm a fucking punk. Like, you know, I bet this guy thinks they got him like an easy fight from out of town, come up here, make him look good in the home stage. And like I said, I kind of created this air that I was going into enemy territory where I was given no respect, where no one knew me, and even convinced myself that everyone there wanted me to lose. I was telling myself this. I was telling myself that everyone there wanted me to lose, that I came here to lose. That's why the promoter got me to come up and fight their guy. And you know, visualizations usually like, I'll play different scenarios in my head when I'm getting ready for a fight. So it's like, maybe in one instance, like I'm in the middle of the second round and like I'm thinking about how I can slip cross hook and what things I can use to finish on the end of that cross hook knee, cross hook head kick, cross hook feint, head kick, you know, like I just very specific scenarios like that. But in this one I'm thinking like damn, imagine wearing a loss again, you know, like the feeling after the last one. I'm gonna lose to this guy. and they're bringing me up there, and I'm gonna go all this way and come home to that humiliation. You know, I'm not gonna do it, and that's what he wants. He wants me to lose. He wants to make me look like a fucking loser. To come all this way, to put in all that work, just to kind of shut me out, and just to kind of throw everything that I put into this in the garbage. You know, and I took offense to that, and that wasn't even real. You know, I was just making this. I was almost like getting myself to believe these crazy scenarios that would allow me to not feel so bad about feeling malicious. You know, even as the fight got closer, like I would look at his picture on my phone, like for a while. I would pull it. Even ask Gabo when we were in the hotel room. I would just every once in a while just take my phone out, like, who is my enemy? Look at the picture. There he is. That's what he looks like. Yeah. Who is my enemy? All right, there he is. This guy wants me to lose. This guy wants me to, you know, he wants to hurt me. He wants to cause me harm. I'm gonna come all this way to Long Island, put all this training in. I'm without my coach. I'm already out of my element. I've never felt it more true than, like, you are fighting yourself in there. You know, you really are. And it was like, I felt like the barrier between me and the level of aggression I fought with was directly related to the fact that in some sense I could always like my opponents because, like, they're other Nak Muay. So.
And how do you hurt someone that you like and respect?
How do you hurt someone you like? You don't want to. It feels bad.
Yeah, I feel bad when I hit Charlie hard and he outweighs me by 50 pounds.
He's fine, and you're just like, my bad.
Yeah, but when you disrespect when you have no respect for somebody, you have no problem clobbering them.
I started telling myself he was
dark.
a bad person. I started to believe that he was a bad person. Yeah, I started to convince myself, like, for all I know, this guy's like a piece of shit, and, like, you know, he fucking, maybe he, like, it's sick. It's like, dude, like, maybe this guy, like, beats on his fucking girlfriend, or maybe this guy's a piece of shit that, like, you know, he fucking steals it. I don't know. Like, I would just think anything that I could to paint this guy in the most negative light possible.
And you don't know this guy from a hole in the wall.
And he could be like a fucking pastor in, like, a youth church or some shit, and I wouldn't know because in my head it's like, yo, this guy is like.
I mean, you're not the first fighter where I've heard this stuff from, and they all say, like, if you actually want to, like, excel in the fight game, not at Muay Thai, not at martial arts, but in fighting, which is two different things. You have to be able to tap into that dark place in your mind. Like, I know there's one guy, he was telling me, like, it was a 5-round fight, and in the middle of the second round, his coach just told him, he fucked your wife. That guy fucked your wife. And then at first he said, no, he didn't. And then he just, he didn't. Yeah, and then he sat down. He just, like, he didn't give him any advice. He didn't say slip jab. He just grabbed him by the face and said, that man fucked your wife. And then he was like, he fucked my wife. And then he did. Yeah. And then he just came through and he freaking knocked him out.
Oh, dude, that helps.
Like the guy was out for like 7 seconds, gone. Like, body just stiffened up, hit the floor. But so, like, when I hear, like, yo, like, be at that top level, you have to be able to tap into that.
Yeah.
It's fucking scary.
It's like, there is this beautification of violence that has happened with martial arts and, like, Muay Thai, MMA, like UFC. But, dude, it's like, yeah, when you knock someone out, their legs go stiff, their eyes roll back, they drool, they moan, sometimes they twitch. It's fucking scary, dude. It's insane to do that to someone, and you cannot be thinking like a rational, civil person. Like,
it's nothing civil about.
There's nothing civil about what we're doing. Like, dude, we're civil people day to day. You say, you know, you open doors for people, you say hello to people, good morning to people, you thank them. If they sneeze, you say bless you, and, like, you have all these little preconditions to being like a productive member of, like, human society. But then in this rare instance, for one night, you are expected to do none of that.
Yeah, the laws of society are lifted on you for 15 minutes to a half hour, depending on the fight.
Get out of this cage alive.
Yeah.
Get out of this cage intact. How do you do that? Well, you beat the guy's ass who's trying to fuck you up. How do you do that? Well, you won't. How do you do something vicious to somebody that you don't know?
Why did it take you so long to tap into this? Because I don't imagine for a second that you didn't know that you had to tap into this dark place. that I don't know if it's true, but I don't think that you didn't know that dark place existed in order to fight.
I thought I could do it without that. I thought that in some way I would negatively be affected by that. So I thought I had enough emotional capacity and control to, I don't know, I guess gently whoop someone's ass.
How did that feel, saying that out loud?
Stupid.
I mean, I get it though.
Yeah, no, I always looked at it like that, and I think it was also just like my fear to go across that line and like, all right, like I really have to be doing something to these people. It's like, it's what everyone expects of me, and I'm the only one not doing it. And I also just started to feel a lot more confident in myself. Like, I started to train harder than I felt I had before. I had, like, when Chase came to the gym, it was a whole different game because I was used to watching Chase fuck people up every few months. When Chase fights people,
he's a brawler.
He likes to scrap, man. He likes to scrap. He hurts people, and it's not like he likes to fucking hurt people. You know him. He's a funny, goofy dude, but like,
I fucking love him.
When it's time to fight, he will put his fucking knee through your face.
He taps into that dark place.
And I asked him how to do that. I asked him like crazy, how do you do that shit? What makes you do that? And I know that's what I have to do, right? I know that's what I have to do, but I don't know how to do it.
What did he tell you? And
he goes, well, dude, like, you gotta look at it like, you're in danger right now, motherfucker. This isn't, you're either gonna be so nice you let him do it to you, or you're gonna do it to him so you're safe. He's like, you don't think I'm nervous going into my fights? I'm terrified going into my fights. I'm fucking scared. That's what makes me hurt people, is that I know what can happen to me. I know what could happen if I'm not prepared to give back the same amount of force that someone's going to put on me. And so it makes him train harder. It makes him run more. He runs probably 6 days a week, averaging at least like 30 miles a week. He runs a shitload. Yeah, he runs a shitload. So I started running with him every day camp. Every day camp we go for a run. Even if it was just for 20 minutes, we could say we get our run in. And in doing that, I was just like, yeah, dude, like, this is what a fucking champion does. This is how a champion trains. He's on the road every day. And then, like, as the days came by where I would have blisters and, like, I might have, like, a swollen, like, fucking little blister on my toe that was killing me, and my sneakers, like, yeah, you run through it, bud. I'm like, yeah, well, screw you, dude. This sucks. But it was like, I like to follow formulas, and, like, Chase's formula for success has been hit the road. Just
put your head down and get to work.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly. And in doing that, it kind of built a confidence in me. On all that time, I would run with him, and Kai would join us for runs, and like they're always saying, like, Bobby, you got some shit we don't got. You got some shit we don't got. You got something special. Like, yo, you don't realize how sharp you are. Yo, none of these guys should be in there with you. You shouldn't even leave these guys standing with you. And they were just like just literally stroking my ego like crazy, just inflating my ego to the point where, like, by the time I got to Long Island, I was like, yo, what the fuck is this guy gonna do to me, dude? Like, yo, do you know who said that to me? Like, yeah.
I mean, even in my interview with Kai, he even said, like, his words were, Bobby's movements are beautiful. And when he learns how to tap into that killer mentality, he's gonna be a killer and look beautiful doing it.
That's crazy he said that.
He said that.
That was the thing I was missing this whole time.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It also came with like training that hard with him and doing like the workouts Chase would do on top of like Dato's training and Jill's conditioning, like that. I was more confident than I had ever been because I felt like I could like tangibly look at my work and go like, dude, this speaks for itself. That was the first time I felt like my work was speaking for itself, and I wasn't cutting any corners. And it's like a system. It's like, all right, if you're doing what you got to do, then you feel like there's no way you could lose. You feel like you've done more work than your opponent. You feel like you've done so much work you could feel confident in.
You already won that fight.
I already won that fight is what I would tell myself. And like I would even say like little mantras and shit. If I was on my run, I would just like say certain, I'm too strong, I'm too fast, I'm too good. I would say stuff like that, repeat it. sometimes 3, 4, 5 times in a row. I'm too strong. I'm too fast. I'm too good.
I'm too strong.
Too fast, too good.
Yeah.
And I was like chanting that after I took a cold shower on the day of the fight. I just wanted to take a cold shower to wake my senses up, and Gabo was just getting up. And
I love cold showers.
yeah, aren't they great, man?
They're fucking amazing.
Yeah, dude. They're like relaxing in a way, because the whole time you're in there is terrible.
I started doing that about 2 months ago, because at first I was like terrified. I'm like, oh, this isn't so bad, and now I kind of like it.
I heard it's actually good for your immune system too.
It is, because I don't know the science behind it, but I know Joe Rogan does it. So
Yeah.
and apparently it reset, like it awakens like every nerve in your body. Supposedly, I don't know.
I believe. I don't have a hard time believing that.
I also looked at it like 2,000 years ago. We didn't have hot water.
Yeah, we didn't have water heaters, so we could
So
fucking.
we naturally bathed in cold water. So when you actually look at it, what we've been doing for the last 50 years with hot water is unnatural.
Yeah.
So I'm like, I'm gonna go back to my roots.
Yeah. Exactly. I mean, I feel like human progression is always aimed at the interest of making things easier and more comfortable.
I hate that.
Well, it's because now everyone's like catching on the idea that like when things are harder, they're better for you, you know, and things are more difficult, or when there's more resistance to something you're doing, you get more out of it. So it's so weird that there's this like global initiative on making life easier when the thing that makes it the best is the struggle.
Yeah, like the human experience could be dumbed down to 3 types of activities, and they're as follows. So like, it's things that allow for growth, things that allow for connection, and things that allow for community. So like if you're doing an activity that doesn't align with one of those 3, you're robbing yourself of the human experience. So like, what are things that allow for growth? Doing difficult things, getting in the ring, showing up to the gym every day, running, getting punched in the face by Chase or Kai or Alex or Jason.
Or getting beat on by your girlfriend a week out from her fight.
Getting beat on by your girlfriend. And then what is, and then, so, that's things that are tough. And then there's human connection, sitting down face-to-face conversations. Like, I hate doing these podcasts like via webcam, but I do it when I have like someone who lives like on the other side of the planet. So like, I purposely go out of my way to like face-to-face. I've had people in Tampa like, can we do it via Zoom? I'm like, no, we're both in fucking Tampa.
I'll come to you lazy bastard.
Right? Because there's so much communication that's nonverbal, and then when there's community like we have here at the gym, like we're like we have a common goal. And it honestly does feel like there's so much of technological development in the last 50 years that has removed a lot of that which enhances the human experience. And it's made it so easy for humans, for people to just forget that, that person that I'm watching like on this 6-inch screen is a human being. Like I was talking to Phil about this, about like the difference between UFC and ONE FC is, in UFC they promote the fighters first. Like, who's Conor McGregor? He's a killer guy with a killer left hook, debatably. Like, who is Nate Diaz? He's this monster of a fighter. But I'm like, but we don't know how they are in real life. We don't know who they actually really are, because they're putting on a show to sell tickets, which I understand, That's how they make their living. They gotta sell the fight.
Diaz is a gangster from the hood, and he likes to beat people up.
I mean, that dude's a fucking gangster,
Well, he is a gangster from the hood that likes to beat people up.
Yeah, but like,
I'm sure he has a soft side.
But like when he was here in the gym and we met him, like, I'm like, this is a really cool dude.
He came here?
He came here like last year. Nate, you didn't know about that? Dog,
I heard about that. I wasn't here.
He just showed up with a bunch of dudes from like Bellator and because they were in town for a UFC fight. Apparently Dado and Joe knew about it. They didn't tell anybody.
Dude,
they just showed up, and they're like, yeah, we're just here to hit pads. And we're like, okay.
They were hitting pads here?
Yeah.
No one got clips?
Somebody has clips. Somebody has pictures.
Dude.
But like, and then there's ONE FC where they're like, they ignore the theatrics. And like when they do promotions, they're showing like the fighters at home with their wife, their husband,
Dancing,
their kids,
you're-
to
yeah.
live, being human beings. And I'm like, that means so much more to the human experience than like what UFC does. Like, no disrespect to Dana White, did an amazing job, but I'm like, I want to do things that enhance the human experience for the human race.
Yeah. That's but you are involved actively in martial arts, and all of your friends are fighters, and you spend a good majority of your time interviewing, talking to, or watching fighters fighting, right? Like,
Fighters, and like I get talk to a lot of people who are recovering alcoholics because of my association with the Phoenix.
yeah. Well, so human connection is important to you.
I think it's important to everybody. Who wouldn't benefit from having good, honest human connections?
No, there isn't a person like that. But what I'm saying is, like, you understand what it gives to you. You understand how it enhances life. Like, that isn't so often, like, taught. That's even something I learned as an adult. I grew up with, like, a very antisocial family that, like, just wanted to look out for themselves, and were very, like, paranoid of our neighbors, and, like, just not very, like, there was no community. It was just like us and the people around us. But like now as an adult, I get why that's important. But like, I think a large, maybe, yeah, like a large minority of people don't understand the importance of sitting face to face like this. Like, even when you don't like to do your Zoom calls, because just in that you feel like there's this like almost transparent wall between you and whoever you're talking to or interviewing, right? And it's, you can see them, right?
Yeah.
But that's not the point. Like, you're not sharing the presence that makes that meaningful. The human experience. I have to remember that, Rex. That's the first time I ever heard that.
Yeah, and I think that's part of what makes the military appealing. I mean, I have no experience with the military, never served or anything, but I have friends who served, and they just, like you said, like one of the things that drew you in was like the stories of the brotherhood. That's community. You're fighting a war. That's something hard, and you're doing it with other people.
You need people for that. Bye, Damien.
Yeah, that's human connection.
Yeah. You need people for that.
Yeah.
Like, that takes...
That's the
fighting
ultimate
takes
human
a village.
experience.
That takes, like, a fucking metropolis of friends and brothers, and it's just, like... You gotta be willing to make the ultimate sacrifice for people because you believe in your cause so much. And that's another reason I wanted to go into the military, too, is because, like, I felt like something my life was missing was, like, a belief system. It's not that I don't share a sense of community here.
There's more to the world than Muay Thai.
There's more to the world than Muay Thai, and I had to like learn that. I have to learn that. It doesn't feel like that right now. It doesn't feel like there's more to the world than Muay Thai right now.
Yeah.
So, I think the things that you'll be taught in the military, like, you're a part of it. That's part of the soldier's creed. Is you're a part of a team. I am the guardian of freedom and the American way of life. Like, I doubt there's lots of soldiers that can like feel that on a personal level.
What do you mean?
Well, just like it sounds so. I guess what's the word? Like,
cliche.
Huh?
Cliche.
Cliche. But I don't doubt there's soldiers that like they love their fucking fellow soldier. They love the brothers and sisters they've made. That they, everyone's probably been touched by one or two mentors in their life who they're never going to forget and who have added something to their character that they're going to use for the rest of their life. And like the narrative that keeps getting relayed to me from other like soldiers and recruiters and even like
Don and Megan is that like the experience will shape you. And, you know what I mean? Like it's not necessarily like, yeah, the values are important too. I firmly believe in the values of the military, like, respect, discipline, honor, bravery. Like those are things you need as a prerequisite. Like you need that if you're gonna be a successful person, I think.
But
not just soldier, but successful
not
person.
just a soldier, just this, yeah, those values I think anyone can fucking live by and be good. But like, I don't know, just the way your experience plays out and the effect other people have on you, like that feeds to your sense of belonging in that thing and your role in it. You start to believe more in your cause when it's reinforced by community and friendship, and being able to relate to another guy who's also dead from having to crawl through mud for 2 hours. Like that's strengthening. I think some of the best friends I ever make will be in the military.
You're also gonna have to eventually deal with loss as well.
Loss? I know, I try not to think about that.
I mean, whether it's the military or not, like it's gonna be. I don't know if you've ever lost anybody, but the first time you ever actually lose somebody that you actually know and spend time with and built a bond with will completely change your world.
I haven't experienced that as an adult. That's something I think. I have older parents, and they're in shit shape. Like their health isn't very good at all. I think about being away, maybe deployed, and I get news that my mother's maybe terminally ill, or she's got a history of strokes, and I worry about as time passes by for me so fast, or it's also going on in other places, and
The universe doesn't stop spinning.
yeah, man, I'm gonna come home from stations and deployments, and maybe my mom looks a little older, maybe she's hunched over a little more, maybe that fucking rasp in her voice is a lot more pronounced now, and she's got serious issues, and it's just like, I'm very scared of loss. I had a mom, my parents are separated since I was like 3 years old. They never got married, separated at 3, but my mom, she's bisexual, and she had a wife. Her name was Nola. That's the tattoo I had. I don't know if I ever told you that.
No, you didn't.
Yeah, Nola Thomas. She died. I was 12 when she died. She had like a condition in her brain that would make it swell more than like her skull could contain, and eventually it started causing all sorts of like neurological issues. She would forget her name. She would forget where she was. She wouldn't remember who me or my mom are. She would have seizures, like grand mal seizures.
Essentially a dementia-like scenario.
Yeah, dude, it was fucked up, man. One time, it was just a little after Thanksgiving, like a week after, and like in the apartment we had, it was like a duplex, right? So we went up this long hallway, and then there's just a parlor to the right. This is like your living room or den, and then if you go down another hallway, it opens up into the kitchen. So I went into the kitchen to get a snack, and she was like filing coupons or some shit, and like she tried to say something to me, and she was like slurring her words a lot, and she was like, "Hey, Poppy," and I was like, "What?" And I was like, "What'd you say?" And then she just like, her head tilts back, and she starts falling out of her fucking chair. And I'm little. I'm only like, I'm like 8 years old. So like, I try to catch her because I don't want her to fall hard. I just didn't know why. I thought she fainted. And this is like the first time I'm experiencing her having a seizure. So she falls back, and she's so heavy. She was a bigger woman by that point. Like she was like bedridden often. She couldn't exercise a lot, and we didn't have like the best nutrition in my house. She fucking fell on me, dude. It was crazy. She fell on me, and we both hit the ground so hard, and like she was on top of me, and I didn't know what the fuck was happening. It took me a second to even like scream for my mom. I was like, "Mom, come here," and she comes in. She's like, "Oh," my mom, she handled it like a fucking pro. You would think like she got paid to watch people like have seizures and handle it well. Like she just saw her. This is her partner. This is a woman she's in love with, and she's like, "Oh, honey," just like she helped me get out from under her, and then she put her on her side, and she was still kind of like, she was having muscle spasms, and I just like, she's like, "I want you to go to the living room. Just get out of here." She kind of brushed me off to go, and then like maybe 10 minutes later, I hear Nola up and talking in the kitchen. Like I hear like she's come to, and I asked my mom what the fuck happened. How do I make sense of that? I didn't know what a
You're 8 years
seizure
old.
was. Yeah, dude. And I mean, that was the only one I ever really witnessed. Thank God, because like after that, I actually moved to New Jersey, where my oldest sister, she started taking care of me from that point. And my mom needed to put all her resources into like taking care of Nola. Fucking yeah, that was weird. It was crazy. And from watching that, I just had the thought from day one. I'm like, this woman, I will probably live to see her die, and I won't be too old. And she had like a really bad grand mal seizure in 2012, and she went into the hospital, and then she passed away in the hospital. So it was weird. It was like I'm going to a funeral, and I'm only fucking, I think I was 11 actually. 'Cause in 2012, it was like right the year before I moved to Tampa. So it was very weird, and like I had time to essentially worry so much about her passing away that her passing away felt like a dud. Like it was something I had always been expecting since that.
You already prepped for it.
I think so. And you can argue as to whether or not that's a good thing, because the stress I felt in the moment thinking about it coming maybe would have been better to just delay and deal with it as an event.
I mean, I don't think there's a right or wrong way to deal with the concept of death and loss. You know, there's 1,000 different ways, and I don't know that any of them are incorrect.
Well, I'm worried I'm doing the same thing with my parents now. Is like, I always worry. I see and hear how my parents' health is like deteriorating, and it's like, it could be tomorrow, it could be 5 years, it could be 10 years, it could be next week. I'm always worried about it.
Sure. But you're still moving forward.
You gotta. Yeah, you gotta.
You have to.
I have to, man. I mean, gotta try.
All right. Well,
Thanks, Rex.
thank you so
Jesus
much.
Christ.
Yeah,
I'm gonna go write about that now.
no. Thank you for allowing me to capture this moment in your life, because too often we and this is actually a Kanye quote. Yeah, can't cancel me, YouTube. Where he said, we too often we pedestalize people in their moment of cool. Like we think they're cool while they're being cool. You know, and when we do that, we dehumanize them and we turn them into gods. We need to understand that people are humans first, and to think they're cool when they're going through tough shit, when they're being, when they're going through a transition period in their life.
Yeah.
Because it's not societally cool to think, oh my God, it's really cool that he decided to not fight anymore, or he decided to leave Tampa. Like when actuality, that's when the cool moments really are happening. You know. So I just want to thank you for allowing me to capture this moment.
Thank you, man.
In your
Thanks
life.
for listening.
No, thank you for sharing.
Yeah.
No, thank you.
No, thank you.
No, thank you.
Yeah, dude.
All right, brother.
Anytime,
All right,
man. I appreciate you.
All right. I imagine your hips down are numb right now, because mine are.
Yeah, my butt is asleep.
Yeah, I noticed. It's 2:42.